Hi everyone, welcome here. My name is Oceana. I'm glad to have you. So I'm sharing all of the books that I read in September. I read a lot of books. I did not expect this, but I'm just kind of in a reading mood. This is why I have this channel, because I love to read and I actually read because it's good. So yeah. So I think I'll talk about the books in order of genre this time. So I will try to do timestamps of the genres and I will link them below. Hopefully that helps you like navigate what you want to hear, but I will write all of the books down below with their authors, and then I'll link videos down below as well. I did a couple of reading vlogs this month, and so I'll link them below if you missed them, and just anything else, check the description because I do have a lot of information down there. So let's get started. So I'll just start with Christian fiction. So first up is The Lost Library by Melissa Coslin. I do have a vlog for this, so I'll link it below, but this is Melissa Coslin's latest release. She has also written Dangerous Beauty and Never Miss, which I own Dangerous Beauty. It's kind of making the rounds. Dangerous Beauty, so good. And then Never Miss is another one that I really love. And then The Lost Library is her latest release, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I love her writing style. She takes her time with her characters. They're very character driven stories. So that's what I love about them though, because I like getting to know how a character thinks and their motivations and why they do what they do, and she really gives us that. But while you're discovering these characters and learning more about them and seeing their relationships develop, you also see them kind of take on a very intense plot, and there's definitely like action, and I actually love the way she writes her like chase scenes and fight scenes and just everything. I really think she's a master at her craft, and I'm so excited for this new release. So I highly recommend it. I'll link it down below. I bought it on the Kindle app, so I bought it as an ebook. She does also have physical books, so I'll link below where you can find them, because I just highly recommend her, as well as Dangerous Beauty and Never Miss. Like, just truly, she has such good Christian fiction. This one is a little bit Beauty and the Beast inspired. So you follow this woman who just works for this random company. It opens with her getting called into the CEO's office, and she's like, why does he even know I exist? Like, what is this? And he puts her on a task, and she just is like, why does he even know that I could do this task? So she's kind of questioning like what's going on. And then she's also being followed by some other people. The CEO intervenes and like takes care of her. The girl is like, has a secret past that she's running from, so he helps her with that, but he's definitely known as the Beast in the story. And I just loved their dynamic so much. It was just really entertaining. I loved the romance and the tension. It was so good. There's some funny moments as well, really great side characters. So overall, would highly recommend. This is another hit for me with this author. So she's 3 for 3 for 5 stars. So that's pretty impressive. I can't wait to see what else she does in the future because her books are amazing. Then I reread Autumn by the Sea by Melissa Tagg, and I loved this book. 5 stars again. This is such a great story. It's so well told. I really love her character dynamics. Like, I'm definitely a character-driven reader. I don't care as much what the plot is, as long as the characters are so interesting. Like, I could see them do anything and I'd be fine with it. But this one had a really great mystery in it, because the family is trying to find their long lost daughter, and then this woman is trying to figure out who her family is, and they're wondering if they're the same. So this girl ends up going to Maine to like see if this is her real family, and then she ends up having a romance with the son of the family, and it was so sweet and very funny. Like, there's definitely a lot of like laugh out loud moments, but it's so fast paced, and I got so invested in this family. If you like found family, this has it. It's also very fall coded because it's literally set in the fall season, and they talk about like different fall festivities and like Thanksgiving and stuff. So love this book, highly recommend, and I'm currently reading the second book and loving it as well. So yeah. Okay, then I'll talk about Loyally Luke by Pepper Basham. So I also read this for a video, so again, I'll link it down below. But this is technically the 3rd book in a companion series, and it does like spoil who's with who if you don't read the first 2 books, but I didn't feel like I missed anything. Like, I do think you could read these out of order. You do see a little bit of like emails and text messages from the other characters of the first 2 books. So I gave this 3.5 stars. I didn't feel super connected to this storyline, but you basically follow this man named Luke, who is like a construction guy, and he's hired to do like renovations on this mansion, I think. and it's actually like for royalty, and he ends up having a romance with the princess. So it's really cute for sure. I think it just felt surface level maybe, like there wasn't anything super stand out to it, but it was like a pretty easy story to read, quick and easy. So I do still recommend it, but like it didn't stand out. It's not going to be a favorite romance for me. Okay, then I read Starstruck by Amy Clipston, and this was a test because I think I've only tried one other book by Amy Clipston, and I think I DNF'd it because it was so boring. So I was like, can I like one of her books? And this is contemporary romance with a celebrity trope, which is actually kind of like my guilty pleasure, or just like, you know, kind of a fun, sweet story that I like to read. I don't expect substance from it, so I went into it with like very low expectations, and I actually was pleasantly surprised. I gave this 4 stars because I enjoyed it. Like, it was just a typical celebrity story where this guy is like a famous singer, and this girl like doesn't really know him and doesn't care about him, but she goes to his concert with her friend, and they have backstage passes, and then she runs into him and she's like, oh, sorry, I don't know where I am, whatever. And I'm pretty sure she leaves her phone there by accident, so he has to give it to her. And he was like so down to earth and like a really great guy. And I liked the relationship. I actually really liked reading it. It was like just fun and easy. Nothing like annoying happened. I liked the progression of the story. So I would recommend it. If you're like celebrity stories, like this is a solid one, and I was surprised. So I'm not going to write off this author anymore because she can write good stories. So yeah, highly recommend that one. I did also read The Enemy by Sarah Adams. I listened to this on audiobook, and this is technically the second book in a companion duology, but I think the characters from the first book only show up like in a small scene near the end, so I didn't really feel like I missed anything. I did enjoy this one. It's kind of like a 3.5/4 star. It was surface level to me, but entertaining. Like, it's definitely not the best that she's written, and I can tell that it was written like kind of earlier in her career. But yeah, it is about like an enemies to lovers trope, but that part wasn't annoying. Like, they weren't just straight up mean to each other. They just had some banter, and it was cute and funny. I don't even barely remember the premise of the story. I think he was a baker, so I'll say it's forgettable, but I do plan to read The Match, which is the first book, so I'm gonna see how that goes, and hopefully I like that one a little bit better. But I would still recommend this one. Like, it was clean, there was no language. They only kissed like once maybe, and it wasn't like anything crazy. So yeah, I would recommend it if you want to try this book. I think it's a good one to try. Okay, then I read Tangled Up in You by Christina, and this is the surprise of the month because I give this 5 stars. I was not expecting that because I know that they write typically like secular romance with spice in it, so I don't want to read that. So I've never read anything by this author duo, but I heard that this series, it's kind of like a fairy tale series. It's supposed to have milder content than what the authors typically write. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. And I do have a video trying this book, so I'll link it below. But for this book, it is a Tangled retelling, and I loved that aspect. I thought they hit every like part of the story in not like a cheesy way. It was actually like, it felt genuine. I enjoyed it. I liked the characters. Like, you follow this girl who grows up kind of like very sheltered on this farm, and she doesn't get to be a part of the outside world, but she's going to college for the first time. When she first gets there, the guy who gives her the tour is like known as the player of the school, and so she doesn't really know that, and she doesn't care, so she treats him like any other human. And she's really quirky, definitely like socially awkward and unaware of anything like pop culture, so he thinks she's super strange, but also that she's super cute. So he's like, who is this person? And he has his own secrets, and she ends up discovering one of his secrets, and so she kind of blackmails him into helping her do something. So it was just so funny and cute. They go on a road trip, and I loved seeing the progression of their relationship. There was mild language. I don't remember, like, I don't think there were any F words, but some language throughout, but like nothing super a turn off for me. And then they do make out. There's one steamy makeout scene in a hot tub. Otherwise, like, it is totally clean. They talk about being attracted to each other, and like they talk about the bedroom, but none of it is in like graphic details that like are a turn off. It was all kind of like natural to me, and I was okay with reading it. I don't think everyone that watches me will be okay with reading it, but if you generally like my level of clean in books, then I do think that this is a solid choice. I just super enjoyed it because I loved the Tangled retelling aspect, and then the fact that it is from this author duo and there's no on-page spice, I just like was really excited by that. And so yeah, I did give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it if that sounds like something you could enjoy. Okay, and I'll just say in that same video, I did try to read a novel love story by Ashley Poston, and I ended up DNFing this. It was mainly the writing style and even just like the characters, like it just, none of it made sense to me. It didn't flow. It didn't feel like a well-told story, in my opinion. Like, cool premise, but like not great execution. And I didn't understand how there was going to be romance between these characters. And I got like a ways in, like 130-ish pages, and I just was like, I don't want to keep pushing through this. Like, I don't see myself liking this, so I'm just going to DNF now. But it is about this woman who, it's like a storm out. She swerves to miss hitting this guy on the road, and then she follows this like road down into like a town, and she realizes that the town she's in is in one of her favorite books. So it's like her favorite book came to life and she's in this town now. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if she's actually in a coma or what, but like, I didn't read it, and I didn't spoil myself, so I don't know how it actually ends or what it turns out to be. But I didn't even really like her character. I didn't like the way that it was written. It was kind of boring as well. So like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, and then I don't have the author written down for these books, so I'm really sorry about that. But The Royal's Best Friend and then Belonging with Her Best Friend, although these might be 2 different authors. So this is one of these things where I have found some like kind of clean indie authors through my Hoopla app, which is now, rest in peace, I have lost my access to Hoopla, so goodbye to that. So no more clean indie romance for me. But I listened to these audiobooks, and they are very forgettable. That's the thing. Like, there's some like clean indie romance that is like good in the moment, but like I forget it the minute I finish it. So nothing stands out about it. I gave them 3.5 stars because they weren't like so boring in the moment that I wanted to keep reading them. I wanted to see how it ends, but like nothing stood out about them. So I would recommend them if you like clean romance, but like I can't even tell you what they were about because they're forgettable. So, you know, that's kind of just me. Like, I look for a little bit more depth with my romance than just like light and fluffy most of the time. And for these ones, yeah, like they're solid choices, but like I'm not gonna like remember them to recommend them like in a future video kind of thing. So we've hit the Christmas portion of this video. I did read some Christmas books in this month, which I am not mad about. So let's start with the high note. I did read The Christmas Spirit by Debbie Macomber. I don't know how to say her last name. Macomber. I loved this book. I give it a solid 4 stars, more like 4.5, because this was fun. It was very like, I was skeptical because listen to this premise. So it's kind of a metafiction because it's this grandma telling a story to her grandchildren. Super cute. So like every couple chapters, it'll go to like the present, and the grandma will be like, so what did you think of that? Or the kids will be like, ooh, they kissed or whatever. But the actual story is this pastor and this bartender are best friends, and they're talking, and they're like, oh, you have it so easy. And they're like, no, you have it so easy. And they're like, fine, let's swap and see who really has it easy. And so the bartender becomes the pastor, and the pastor becomes the bartender for a week before Christmas. And yes, it's far-fetched, it's silly, it's just a story that the grandma is telling her kids, but it was very entertaining, and I actually liked it. There was like a little bit where I was like, ooh, am I gonna be okay with this? Like, what are they gonna make the pastor do in the bar? But it actually turned out to be such a beautiful story, and actually perfect story of like the gospel, and I was very impressed. And of course, each guy gets a romance, and the one thing I will say, the bartender romance was very unbelievable to me, and I wasn't on board with it. So like that definitely brought it down. It probably would have been 5 stars if that romance was better, but I didn't really like the bartender's romance. But the pastor's romance was adorable, and I really liked the progression of the story. Like, you just see how clearly being a bartender and being a pastor are both very difficult jobs, and they take different skills, and I really liked that message. And then the message of like grace and Jesus, it was like so good. So yeah, I would actually highly recommend this. It's definitely going to be on my Christmas recommendation list because I had a great time reading it. Then I'm not going to spend too long on this because I don't want to be bashing authors, but I did also read Her Cowboy Billionaire Best Friend, which is kind of a Christmas book. It's set around Christmas, but yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell that it's like winter. And I was graciously sent this for free by the author. So that's why I'm like, I feel kind of bad about this, but I did give this 2 stars because the guy character, the guy love interest, like is a complete walking red flag. Like no woman should be with this guy. It started out so strong. They had their little like meet cute re-meeting on this ranch. So basically their 2 ranches are beside each other and they're also childhood best friends, I'm pretty sure. It was like so cute. I was excited about it. The woman is a single mom as well. But then it jumps in the future. It jumps a year in the future. Nothing has happened other than he needs her help with a bunch of stuff. So she comes over and helps him. And that's all that's been happening. But they're both 40 years old as well. So I'm like, what 40-year-old people act this way? I mean, in particular, the guy, like he was a narcissist. He was so selfish and he basically had like insecure masculinity is how it felt, because like he needed her to reassure him all the time and she always was like apologizing and like doing the most for him. I just expected her to like understand how much work he had to do and that, oh, he actually does really care about her though and he will put her first and her daughter first. Like I just could not. Like the more I read, the more I hated their relationship, and I didn't like this book. I didn't like it. So it's 2 stars. Wouldn't recommend. I just feel bad. Like the author sent this to me for free. Okay. But my honest review is this is not good. Don't read it. But I'm going to read her other books and I will see. Maybe I will like her other books, but like, no. Okay, then I read The Tourist Attraction by Sarah Morganthaler, and this is a Christmas book set in Alaska. And this it was technically a reread. I read this years and years ago, and I listened to this on audiobook, and I'm surprised. I gave it 4 stars last when I read it, but I'm giving it 3 stars now because it's actually kind of slow and I think it's too long for what it is. But what I like about it is it's very mild in the language. I don't even think there is any language, but there might be a little bit. And then it's all fade to black, closed door. So that's really nice. But it is a little bit like long and I think drawn out, and it didn't need to be. And then it does like talk about alcohol a lot, and there is like a drunk scene. And so if you don't like drinking in books, like this definitely has it. So be aware of that. But I like that it's closed door. So, you know, it all depends on your standards, but you follow this girl who is visiting her friend in Alaska, and she's never been to Alaska. She's a city girl. So they go to this like food truck kind of, and the guy that runs the food truck like does not like tourists, and so skeptical of her, but he ends up helping her because she gets drunk the first night, not on purpose. Like she was given a very strong piece of alcohol that she didn't know what it was. So yeah, so he has to like help her, and then they're always like running into each other, and he's like drawn to her and she's different than all the other tourists. So it's, I don't know, like it was endearing when I first read it, and I think I was like still entering my like Alaskan literature phase, but now like I do think that there's better out there. I do intend to read the rest of the series though. It is like a kind of a companion trilogy. So in the second book, you're following her friend that lives in Alaska. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess I would recommend it as a Christmas story, but like I also would say that there's better out there, and I gave it 3 stars because it did kind of drag in some parts. Okay, now to the YA books. So I did read the Inheritance Games trilogy, the first 3 books. I know it's a series now, but I read the Inheritance Games, the Hawthorne Legacy, and the Final Gambit. And I gave the Inheritance Games 4 stars. I definitely really liked the setup and I liked the characters. But then the next 2 books I gave 3 stars because I just like fully lost interest by the time these books came around. So with the Inheritance Games, I really liked the setup. Like this girl gets contacted because this guy leaves her his fortune and she has to live at the mansion to get the fortune. And so she moves into this mansion with all of his family that is like, how come she got it and not us? And there's 4 grandsons, and 2 of the grandsons are her love interests. So they try to make it be a love triangle, but like it's clearly not. Like, I don't know, that's the thing. Like the romance definitely was cringy to me and like not very believable. I didn't really see, like it wasn't deep, and maybe it's because this is YA, like, but the thing is the Naturals romance was definitely deep. Like there was a strong emotional connection between the love interests in the Naturals. For the Inheritance Games, I didn't really buy it. Like, yeah, the boys were just kind of like, I don't know, stereotypical, and I wasn't into them. And then I didn't like Avery's choices, but she is a teenager. She's allowed to not make smart choices, but it wasn't in a way where I like could get on board with it, I guess. I just was like more so annoyed. But still, like the first book was very entertaining. I wanted to see what was going on and I was curious what these mysteries were. But then as the second and third book unfolded, I just was like, I think this is like too much now. Like I just kind of lost interest in the mystery. So I think The Naturals is better. If you're going to read Jennifer Lynn Barnes, I would recommend starting with The Naturals. The Naturals does go darker, I would say, like in terms of just like kidnapping and torture and stuff. This, yeah, it's not as much like that. There's a little bit, but not as much. So it's definitely more like younger audience friendly, I would say, although there is still kissing in it. There's no language, but the characters kiss. Oh, and there is a side character girl who has a crush on another girl. And I don't know if they end up dating or not, but there's like a girl thing in there. I didn't care. It didn't take away from my enjoyment, whatever. But just so you guys know, yeah, I'm not going to continue this series. So I'm going to just focus on Jennifer Lynn Barnes's backlist because she does have other books that I haven't read other than in this series. So I'll just be reading those until she comes out with something new. Okay, and then lastly, I did read The Case for Hope by Lee Strobel, and I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. I do think that he has better out there, but this was still very encouraging. I kind of used it as a devotional at night rather than like reading it like a normal book. I just kind of read it in parts and it went by really fast. It's a short little book. So I enjoyed that and I would recommend it. I love his writing style. I love the way that he tackles different topics. So for Hope, he just talked about how we have so much hope knowing Jesus and that he is like the definition of hope. So yeah, I really enjoyed that and it was good. It was very encouraging. So yeah, those are all of the books I'm going to talk about today. I will write them all down below in order that I talked about them so you can hopefully find everything you're looking for. And thank you for watching. Let me know if you feel similar or differently than I do about these books. It's okay if we do not have the same taste in books. I hope you're here to enjoy anyways. And I'm not saying that if you liked some of these books that I didn't like, that you're a bad person or you have a bad opinion. Like, no. You like what you like, I'll like what I like, and I'm just trying to like give helpful reviews so that you can see if you would want to read the book. I know with some of them I was a little more harsh, but like sometimes I have stronger feelings than others, you know. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, you guys, and I look forward to the rest of the month, and who knows what I'm going to be reading, but things are going well already. Like I'm just in a reading mood. So anytime I have free time, I'm either reading or filming videos. So feels good. Yeah, this is a great time of year to be making content. So thank you for being here, you guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Okay, so